I fell through the cracks with my health for almost 9 years. Why am I a little bit bitter about it? Because it didn't have to happen. How could I fall through the cracks, being that I was in healthcare myself and knew how to advocate for myself? Let's talk about it. Not gonna lie, this is probably gonna be one of the hardest videos that I make when it comes to my health as of now. Um, there may be some tears if you're going through something like this now or have gone through something like this. You may cry. If you cry, I cry. We'll just all cry together. I'll try to keep it as succinct as possible, but it's very emotional. It's been an emotional roller coaster. So, and probably throughout my teens and early to mid 20s was a little bit on the hyperactive side with the thyroid function. I would sweat like crazy. I was very heat intolerant, had, boundless energy for days on top of just being young. And I also could eat like a 15-year-old linebacker at a buffet and not gain a pound. And around my mid 20s, that's when the weight problems started. And of course, I just chalked it up to stress, being in nursing school. And then I started in my mid 20s to have some fatigue, but I didn't really pay much attention to it because of just how busy I was. And I thought that was just part of, just having an overactive schedule. And then I started having some cold intolerance, which was very unusual. And so I had my annual appointment with my nurse practitioner at my OBGYN's office and mentioned the fatigue, mentioned the weight problems, and mentioned, more importantly, the cold intolerance, and could she check my thyroid? And she did. And of course, hypothyroidism is what the diagnosis was. And I was put on levothyroxine and we called it a day. Only the fatigue never went away. Now, keep in mind, because of my schedule, I didn't know any better. I had already been on day shift for probably 6 months, maybe a little longer, realized that I had felt great for a month, and then I'm sleeping my days and nights off away again. My weekends are just gone. They're spent sleeping. Went to hospice care, Monday through Friday kind of schedule, felt great for a month. And then here I am working 4, 5, 6, 8 hours and needing a nap to be able to function for the rest of the evening. And sometimes that nap wouldn't help. And then a month or so later, I had my first flare with fibromyalgia, was sent to the rheumatologist and put on Cymbalta or duloxetine for the fibromyalgia pain. And while it helped with the fibromyalgia pain, it did nothing for the fatigue. And keep in mind, I'd already tried a whole lot of things throughout these almost 9 years. And I couldn't tell you the specific timeline of everything that we tried when. I tried things like Myers cocktail IV infusions every week with the vitamins and the glutathione and all of that. Didn't help at all. I had been on phentermine for weight loss, and it didn't really help a whole lot with weight. It didn't really help with energy. Of course, at this time, keep in mind, I also did not know that I had ADHD. I tried earthing or grounding. I did all kinds of supplements, all kinds of fad, detox diets. Like, I tried so many different things. And I, at one follow-up, asked my primary care provider, hey, can you just try pushing my thyroid medication, the dose as high as I can tolerate, and see if that fixes things? We tried it. It didn't help. And so when I followed up with the rheumatologist, they tried again to address the fatigue, because the pain, I could deal with the pain. The fatigue was the problem. And so he took me off of the duloxetine and put me on modafinil. Modafinil is a narcolepsy medication. It's also used for shift work sleep disorder. It is in the stimulant family, similar effect to the stimulants that you may be more familiar with when it comes to treating ADHD. Well, guess what? Didn't work. Surprise, surprise. I didn't know why at the time it wasn't working. And then I kind of fell off with the rheumatologist because I couldn't afford to keep going. Nothing was helping. So was just kind of following up with my primary. So along, I just kind of gave up on that. 2017, I had some dietary changes that gave me some hope. I'll talk about that more specifically when I talk about the weight. I was pushing myself to still continue to work and go to school. And how I didn't end up in a tree somewhere falling asleep at the wheel, I have no idea. It is a miracle that I am still alive to this day. I had so many close calls of nearly falling asleep at the wheel. In 2018, I had a sleep study to rule out narcolepsy and idiopathic hypersomnia. Didn't think I had sleep apnea. Of course, we ruled that out as well. And still no answers. And in 2018, my sister was diagnosed with Hashimoto's. For those of you that don't know, Hashimoto's thyroiditis is autoimmune disease that affects thyroid function. She shared something on Facebook. It was a letter from Hashimoto's that's talking about all the ways that Hashimoto's is going to wreck your life. And by the time I got to the end of it, I was in tears. It was, from beginning to end, all of the things that I had experienced all this time. I finally felt like oh my God, maybe I have some answers.